Buddy, and welcome back to Undefined. I am really excited to talk to Krislyn Arthurs on the show today. She has a new album coming out on April 24th called Honky Tonk PhD, and it is her debut album. She is from Oklahoma, and I'm so excited to talk to her today. How are you doing, Krislyn?
I'm doing well. Hey, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for coming on. So your debut album is dropping April 24th, Honky Tonk PhD. I want to shout out the title because I'm actually getting my PhD right now. So I
Oh my
really liked
gosh.
the title of the album. Yeah. So I thought
Hey,
that was funny.
so your homework for me is I need you to send me a picture of your diploma with your PhD. Because so really quick before we get too far into this, I had a group of guys that came to one of our shows in Oklahoma right as
Uh,
we were gearing up to record the record, and they actually pull up their like shorts, and on their knee they had tattooed PhD on it, and we had to take a picture of it. So I was like, how freaking iconic. So I'm like, okay, everybody with PhDs have to send me a picture.
yes. Well, I'm only in my first semester or my second semester, so in 3 more years I will send
Hey,
you the
that's
picture.
okay.
Yeah. So kind of starting off on that. I want to know where the title inspiration for the album came from, and I guess your thesis for the album is a good example. Like, what were the overall themes when crafting this record together? Because I have listened to it and I'm really excited for it to come out, and
Thank
I
you.
wanted to hear more about the inspiration behind it.
So honestly, the title track, Honky Tonk PhD, I wrote it in about 25 minutes. The song just kind of fell in my lap. I had been kind of playing around with a couple things. I didn't grow up very privileged. Like we had a lot of love, we had
Hmm.
what we needed. But we didn't have a lot of money growing up. And my dad's a blue collar man, gone a lot. And actually nobody in my immediate family, like my mom and dad, neither of my brothers, none of us actually have like a full college education. But there's one thing about it is we all know how to honky tonk and we all know how to
Hmm.
have a really good time. So I was like, well, it's not always about like a college degree. I feel like in order to make people feel like there's a place in the world, like barflies, we all just love each other and we're just out on a Friday, Saturday night to have a good time. And I was like, it's kind of like a jab at myself too. Like some people are like, "Oh, well, you don't have an education," and I was like, I got a honky tonk PhD." So
Yeah.
when that line popped in my head, I was like, "Oh, I gotta write about this," because my whole family, I tease them. We all come from a long line of losers. We have fun, we hoop and holler, and
Hmm.
we're just good country folk. And
Hmm.
I know there's a lot of people in the world out there that would resonate a lot with the song, and
Hmm.
it's fun and lightweight. And so yeah, that's where a lot of the whole inspiration behind Honky Tonk PhD came from, and just kind of happened by accident.
Yeah, I love it. And even like I know I said I just got my PhD, but honestly, like I wasn't for a while. I wasn't even sure if like education was something that
Mhm.
higher education was something that I wanted to pursue. And I do think like especially growing up in different areas, and your degree doesn't necessarily define you, and it's what
Mhm.
you make it. And I think the play on words and the song it's just really clever, and I want to talk about the single, so your newest single, Double Wide. And what was the choice for that to be the lead single, kind of setting the scene for the record? And also, after we talk about that, I want to talk about the photo shoot and the album cover because I love that. And I feel like, the themes of everything that you just talked about, of your upbringing and the small town life in the southern and Oklahoma, and it's really captured with the imagery of the lyrics, but having that album art put it together too. I love a good when an album art or a single is really tied visually to the music, and I think this rollout has done a great job of that.
Thank you so much. I like to say I'm a very visual, very colorful person with my music. I want people to hear the lyrics and be able to paint that really colorful image of their own, because that's actually like my creative process. Every time I write a song, I'm like, how would this song relay if I ever did a music video or roll out
Mhm.
any kind of content for it? Like I structure a lot of my songs around how they would connect with an audience visually.
Mhm.
Double wide actually, so I was a dental assistant for 12 years, and I worked in
Wow.
an office for 6 years. And I had this lady who, at the time, she was in her mid 60s, but she could run circles around all of us young girls. Like, she's such a
Mhm.
hard worker. She was fun. She never acted like her age. Like, I always thought she was just way younger than what she was. And she's beautiful and so kind. And she goes, Krislyn, you're never going to believe this. My granddaughter has a picture of me, and I'm sitting on my John Deere lawnmower. I've got hot curlers all in my hair, and I got this big fat cat just sitting on my
Mhm.
lap. And I looked at her and I said, Yvonne, you just gave me the best inspiration for a country song. And I said, now I need to see proof of this picture so I can fully get the full effect of it. And sure enough, she had these hot curlers in her hair, riding on a John Deere lawnmower. And I instantly put, okay, hot curlers in her hair, and I had cat on her lap. She drives John Deere, not a Cadillac. And I was like, man, this is kind of another like vision and version of my life growing up. So I was pretty much born, and for the first early years of my life, I was raised in a double wide.
Mhm.
And I had to do a little bit of play on words on that. My whole upbringing, I feel like I was high class white trash. Like
Mhm.
I said, we didn't have a lot, but we had a lot of love. And
Mhm.
even still, my parents are in a nice 3-bedroom brick home now, but
Mhm.
my very first truck is sitting in their front yard with trash piled up with the wheels rotten off of it in their yard.
Mhm.
So, we still never really beat the white trash
Mhm.
allegations, but so double wide has a lot of the inspiration on that as well. And then one of my greatest friends, um Shelby, she had actually helped me with all the content. She does all of our show photography, and she has just been Redbird Media Co. If anybody needs a concert photographer, any kind of content, she's based out of the Tulsa area. She did all of the video, and she actually did the art cover for it as well. And I had sent her some inspiration, and I said, I know I want the title, like the cover, to be really bright. So I'm not sure if you kind of checked out some of my other music, but
Yes, I have.
everything has been really dark.
Yeah.
Lots of blacks, browns, kind of neutral colors. So I knew with rolling out this record, I didn't want to just paint myself as this really dark toned country artist, which that's a great influence on my career so far. But I wanted people to know, like, I'm truly a really fun, bright person in life. Like, I always try and see the best in things.
Mhm.
And even though I wear black every single day, have tried to make my life very colorful. And I knew with Double Wide, I wanted people to portray that and see this as such a fun, lighthearted song. And I felt like she just completely knocked it out of the park and completely brought the vision to life.
Wow, yeah, and I noticed that too, the color contrast when looking at your other single art, before that, and I think that is really good. I think it shows versatile as an artist, and I can kind of relate to that too. Like, can be dark and serious, like when thinking about things or writing, but trying to bring in the bright side of things, and I love that. And I think that it's a really good kind of intro for the album as the
Yes.
first single. And like I said, I love a good, album cover and single cover, and I love the album cover for the record as well. I saw
Thank
that.
you. A different photographer for the actual album cover, my good friend Harley, with Mischief Media out of Tennessee. I actually flew out and we did that one, and she does a lot of my promo stuff as well. So I have two incredible photographers that I've used for all of my promo and stuff coming up the last couple years.
Nice, I love that, and I think, having a good creative team,
Mhm.
it's really important, and it can really, bring life to those songs because that's one of the things that really stuck out to me when listening to this record. I touched upon that earlier. It's almost like they're little movies, and even, like,
Yes.
in your description on your website, it does, like, say that your songs are kind of like a Tarantino film, and I think that is a good comparison. So, I want to talk more about your influences and how you got started. So, you grew up in Medford, Oklahoma, which is a population of 1,000 people. Where are you located now? And I want to know how is that? And we've touched upon this a little bit, but like from a musical standpoint, how did you get started? Was it something that you were always interested in as a kid, or did it come to you later in life? And were there like specific like records or sounds that really drew you to wanting to get your own career?
So I'll be really honest. I've been really open about this. My career started very late. I feel like,
Hmm.
a lot of people start their careers when they're 12 years old or
Yeah.
very, very young. I actually didn't start performing live until I was like 21, 22.
Hmm.
And that all happened by accident. I had been, writing songs in my little bedroom for 2 years before I ever played a show by myself. And then 10 miles down the road, my husband ended up booking me my very first little gig. And
Wow.
it was a disaster, but the bar manager looked at me and she goes, "Girl, you got to get it figured out. You either need to figure it out or we're going to wrap it up." And we had just bought a PA. We had no idea how to run it. We had 3 days, 4 days to prepare for this.
Hmm.
Like I said, it was a disaster. It was a packed house because it was 10 minutes from my hometown. First time I'd ever played publicly.
Wow.
I was shaking in my boots. But anyways, halfway through, I said, I love doing this. I love singing. I love writing my songs. And I said, I want people to hear this. And about halfway through, after she had that conversation with me, I got back up, I finished my set, and then I never looked back. I beat on every door that would let me in. Um, Smoky bars, casinos, anywhere that would just say yes. I played for free. I played for tips. I played open mics, and it's really starting to pay off. We're on year 10, and we've had a lot of really, really great things happen last year for us, and then now getting to start this year with a brand new record. I mean,
Hmm.
the Lord works in mysterious ways, and
Hmm.
I'm so thankful I did not give up.
Wow, that is so inspiring. And I think, it's interesting to think about you mentioned your first show you played in a packed house with a lot of friends and family. And that's a lot of pressure for a first show because I know for a lot of artists like early shows or sometimes in like empty bars and clubs with a few people there might be a few friends and family members, but having them all gather, I would also be shaking in my boots. That's a lot
Yes.
to
It
accomplish, but that's an inspiring story.
being from a small town, and I even lived in Pond Creek for several years growing up. I moved when I was in like third grade, but
Uh-huh.
I had a lot of friends still over there, and being from both those little small town areas, people want to know what you're about. And it's been cool for some of the people that haven't seen me since that very first show. They'll catch up with me and they're like, "Hey, you still doing that music thing?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, I do it full time. I've done it for 3 years full time. Quit my job and everything."
Wow.
And so it's really cool to be able to say that. I've had a really, really great support system, and it's just been so neat to see new people come on board and support it and help keep us pushing it.
Yeah, and so you mentioned you got started later, around 21. When you were first getting started, what were some of your biggest inspirations as a musician or as a songwriter? I know Oklahoma has a rich country music history. Did that have anything to factor into it?
Yes, I'm a huge Reba McEntire fan, if I say so
Yes.
myself. But anyways, I love Terry Clark. Terry Clark
Mhm.
has always been so fun and sassy, and I get a lot of my spice from her. But I was raised on Gretchen Wilson's Redneck Woman. I still remember
Oh.
being like 10 years old, and I'd have my baby doll on my hip, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm standing barefooted in my own front yard." Like, had no business singing like that, but it was just like. And then also, of course, Miranda Lambert and, some of the newer people now, like Ashley McBride, who's been out there for a long time, but their songwriting and their artistry, it's not sweet. Like there's sweet feminine sides to them, but there's still very strong, powerful nature of all those women.
Mm,
And it's been, um, for a long time in Oklahoma, I didn't really know a lot of other females when I started out doing and having a band and playing. And,
mhm.
there were a few of us, but, very few and far between. And now every time I turn around, there's more and more females out. And it's been
Yes.
so great. But yeah, I love like the diversity of Oklahoma and things like that. And it's had a lot of influence, but like I said, I get a lot of my influence from those very, very powerful women.
Yeah, and I think you make a great point there. And I was thinking about this when I was kind of prepping for this too, I feel like in the various like in the country scene, Oklahoma, Red Dirt, whatever you want to call it, there's a whole bunch of different subgenres within the country scene. Sometimes like when you're scratching the surface or maybe in the early years, you don't like a lot of female artists, it's maybe hard to find like representation, but I feel like now there is a boom, and I think that is very exciting because it is a very male dominated field. And so I always get excited when there's new female artists. And I think it's so funny that you mentioned Gretchen Wilson because kind of a side tangent, but I am taking a class that's Intro to Popular Music Studies, and we
Oh,
just
wow.
talked about Redneck Woman and Gretchen Wilson, and we just listened to the
Yes.
song. And that was when I was listening to your record. I was like, this kind of like gives me like that Gretchen Wilson energy, and I was very excited when you brought that up because I was thinking about that when I was listening to the record.
Yes, I had her one of her debut records and I had the last few records after that. I literally burned her records out.
Hmm.
Thinking about cheating is I actually auditioned for American Idol with that song my very
Oh,
first year when
wow.
I was like 17 years old and then Gunpowder and Lead and those, all those. But I want to say Gretchen Wilson and Miranda Lambert have been two of my greatest influences just because they got me through so much of like that really vulnerable emotional time growing up as a teenager, that really kind of drew in my power as a woman too. So I tried to kind of replicate a lot of what they did in a sense that it was still mine.
Yeah, and I think you touch on something that they touch on too is like kind of having that universal like experience about, being a woman in the South, growing up in those areas, dealing with those things and the characters. And it's all very like when you listen to that, you can really relate and connect to it. And it is a universal thing, but it does feel personal at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yes, ma'am.
When I was listening to this record, one of the first things that kind of came to mind is that I think these songs would translate really well in a live setting, especially Pretty Good
Think, yes.
would translate really great live. And I wanted to ask you, sorry for the little delay, what
Okay.
songs are you most excited to play live? And when you're recording the album, do you think about the live show? Because that's another thing that really fascinates me in the record creation. Like, how do you approach the songs with the intent of playing them live?
So my thing is before we even recorded this record, we've actually been playing the majority of the songs on the record live.
Oh, wow.
So, excuse me. Shinin' has been out for a little over a year. That was the very first single that I put out. It actually, I didn't know if it was going to make the cut on the record. I'd been kind of going back and forth on if I wanted to put it on there, and I was like, yes, it fits everything. That was like the revolution of when I started really fitting into my artistry. So, Shinin' was out, and everybody has loved that one. Pretty Good is one
Hmm.
of the newer ones that we just started playing live, and it's actually been reciprocated really well. Honky Tonk PhD, we worked up in
Hmm.
a green room behind before a show, and we've played it ever since. And
Yes.
that one double wide, and let's see, what else do we play? Daddy Tried. Those are some of the more popular ones that we've played for several years now that, have gone over really well and people dance and they laugh. And even if they've never heard us, they're out there two-stepping. And
Hmm.
that's important to me is to make people dance and have fun. And, because I don't want to be sad on a Saturday night. I mean, sometimes it's okay, but
Yeah.
I want people to connect and have fun and life is so crappy right now that it's like I get 45 minutes, 30 minutes to 90 minutes with you guys to make you forget about everything in the outside world. So, those are some fun ones that we've gotten to do live and we're actually going to do an album release party where we play every single song on the record live. So,
Oh, I bet that's really exciting. So have you covered every single song on the record? Have you played that live yet? Or is there like a maybe, I know you mentioned like Pretty Good was a newer one. Is there any other newer ones that maybe haven't got a lot of live show time yet that you're excited to put in the rotation?
So we used to play the Sin a lot. I've had several band changeovers. So
Mhm.
with the fully produced version of the Sin, we haven't actually played that one live. Missing Man, we've tried it a couple times. It's kind of a challenging song, so we still need to work up a couple more things before the album release party. But for the most part, every song on there has been performed in some way, shape, or form, whether it was acoustic with our old band or things like that. But yeah. So we've
That's
kind of
really
been
cool.
sampling around for a while.
Yeah. And speaking of live, I also read that you recently played the Mercury Lounge in Tulsa for the first time, and that is a huge deal, especially in Oklahoma. And I wanted to know, what was that experience like for you?
So we had actually been playing the Mercury for a couple years, but we were put on the late night show, which starts at
Uh-huh.
midnight.
Hmm.
So, we were kind of what you would kind of classify as like the cleanup entertainment after like the headliner. So we had got to do that a couple times, and then I finally was given our headlining debut for the Mercury, and we actually sold it out, and that
Wow.
was the most incredible feeling ever. Um, just because we'd been out grinding for, I've been doing this for 10 years, and I've gotten close a couple times with Grady's Pub in Yukon. We were
Yeah.
48 people away a year ago from a total sellout with with no opener. That was a headlining spot. And just finally actually getting to say we had our very first sellout, and especially at the Mercury Lounge. It has been, such a high to finally achieve that goal. And I'm actually about to get it tattooed on me.
Oh, it's so exciting. That is such a cool thing. It's like two big milestones at the same time. Your first sellout show, and then to have it at such an iconic venue. That is
Yeah.
such an amazing story.
Yep. And I had always told myself, I was like, no, I'm not going to do, a sellout tattoo on me. But, the Mercury Lounge has been so magical and
Hmm.
accepting and encouraging. Even when I first started, I was there acoustically. There was like a monsoon storm, and I think we had maybe 15 people show up. I was an opener. And they just kept saying, you got the talent. They're like, don't give up, don't give up. And in between coming back and forth, there was a moment in time when I looked at Big Fish, who's the bouncer, and I said, I don't know if I can
Hmm.
keep doing this. And he said, you come back next time, I promise you're going to sell this place out. And sure enough, we went back, and he said, I told you I believed in you. And just feeling that sense of community in the music community um is just something you can't explain. It's just so rejuvenating and encouraging as well to see other musicians supporting each other.
Yeah, that is just incredible. So you have the Mercury Lounge done, and on the heels of this album coming out soon, I also wanted to ask, and maybe I thought this would be a good closing question. What are you excited for, and as this new year comes with the release of the album, and is there another venue goal that you would like to maybe achieve soon, or that you're putting on the bucket list?
Hmm. I want to play anywhere and everywhere.
Mhm.
Ultimately my goal would be, of course, Billy Bob's, but
Yeah.
just any kind of historical music venue that wants to give us the opportunity. We just want to get out there. We want to work. We want to grind. We want to share our music. We want to connect with other bands and other people out there doing the same thing that we do. Ultimately, I want to be invited to be a part of a tour with an artist that, we've connected with. And, we've got several friends that we get to do a couple one-offs and things like that.
Hmm.
But my ultimate goal for this year is to actually be accepted and to go on a good tour, to keep my guys busy and to keep putting us out there.
Awesome. And so anything else that we wanted to cover? The album comes out on April 24th. You have some tour dates coming out around that time too in the spring, and I'll put all that info down below and your website and how to access your music. Anything else?
I don't think so. Just get ready for a kick butt record and a dang good time when you come out to shows. So
Yes, I'm
we'd love
excited
to
for
see
everybody to
y'all.
listen.
Yes, me too. I just want to say thank you so, so much for believing in this, for giving me the opportunity to come visit with you, and for taking the time to sit there and listen to the record. I truly, truly appreciate that.
Oh yeah, it's my pleasure. It's a great album. It's really fun. And like I said, I love the imagery, I love the lyrics, and I'm excited for everybody else to hear it. And I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me. It's been really great getting to know you.